going to show you how to create a slide and split effect similar to what you see right here. And there's other demos in this. This is just kind of a simplified version, kind of to use for our own purposes. So we're going to kind of start messing with that and go ahead and create either a new project or a new comp. So I'm going to create a new composition. I'm going to call this Slide and Split Demo Video 2. And first thing I want to do is bring down my footage of myself. So you can really do this with anything. I'm using green screen footage of myself. And so which means I'm going to have to go to Effect, Keying, and I'm going to go to Keylight 1.2. And once I do that, I'm just going to select my color eyedropper over here and click on the green. Now, what I like to do just to make sure that looks better, I go to Final Result here. I change my drop down to Screen Matte. Go into Screen Matte, and I'm just going to mess with the black a little bit to make sure that I get all that background out. Looks better. Switch it back. Final Result. Okay, next step. I'm going to go ahead and deselect that layer, and I'm going to go to Layer, New, and Solid. We're just going to create a background color here, so go ahead in. I like something nice and subtle. Let's see, what do we got here? I'll go like nice subtle blue color. Hit OK, and I'm just going to drop that underneath. Okay, and there we go. So I have myself, and then I have my background color. Now on my background color, I'm going to go look up a vignette in my effects and presets. So let's go ahead and try. I'm going to go with a CC vignette here. Drop that directly on. See, it just gives me like a nice little.
Please report to the main office. Zach Gross, please report to the main office.
Nice little dark color in the background and the edges, and the center is a little bit brighter. And I can mess with that amount and however I want this kind of to look. And that looks pretty nice. So a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my audio too. So. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a line that's going to draw itself. So I'm going to go to my pen tool. For this one, I want a no fill and I want a white stroke. So I'm just going to make this line start kind of outside. I'm going to hold down shift so it's nice and straight. And I'm going with about a 25 weight for my pixel stroke here. So 25 pixels for the weight of the stroke. All right. And this I'm going to title line. So I'm going to click on that layer, hit enter, line. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to keyframe that line to draw itself. So you're going to open up that little caret and we're going to go add, and something we've done before is our trim paths. And we're just going to animate. It really depends on what side you want to start from, but I'm going to have my trim path here start with the end at 0. You're going to see what that looks like here in a second. So I'm going to turn on my keyframes. I'm going to say, all right, start at 0. And then about a half second in, I want that line to animate. Okay, so it's just going to draw itself. So the beginning of my film, it's not there, and then it's going to draw itself. Maybe I don't even want to offset that start time just a little bit. And there we go. Okay. Next thing I want to do is I want to just close on everything and just deselect. I'm going to go to my rectangle. And I'm going to choose a red or a weird color fill and turn off my stroke. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to back out. I'm basically making a large rectangle that's going to kind of be used as a mask. So you can see how large this thing is. All right. And I'm going to line it up with the white line that I did. I'm going to go in now and just kind of zoom in there. And let's go ahead and just make sure that that covers up. So I'm going to have this pull down just a little bit. So you can see it's about halfway through the white, which is fine. And this is going to be, I'm going to rename that red shape top. Okay, now I'm going to reorder these things. So I'm going to move my line as my top one, then I have top, and then I'm also going to have a video, which I'm going to call top. Okay, before we do anything else, so right now I have line, which is my white line. I have top, which is a shape, and actually that might be better off even just calling it top mask. And then I have top video. So now I need to duplicate both my top mask and my top to create bottom. And oops, I'm going to duplicate that. We're going to call that bottom mask. So keeping everything kind of making sense, I'm going to move my top up, move my bottom mask down. So it's going to go line, top mask, top video, bottom mask, bottom video, and my background. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn off the eyeballs for bottom right now. And so you can see what happens here. So what I'm looking to do is on my top video, I'm going to say, and I want to make sure that my controls are turned on right here. So I can expand my controls pane. And I'm going to go and I'm going to set my track map for that top video to alpha matte top mask. So what you're going to see is then I can see myself, which is good. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my eyeballs for top, bottom mask, and bottom. And I'm going to change that track matte to alpha inverted matte bottom mask. So basically, what I should be left with is a nice visual of myself. Now, occasionally you'll get, like, you can see a little bit of a line. So if that's the case, I'm going to go to my top mask here, go to position, and I'm just going to, I'm going to slide that Y down ever so much just to cover up that gap. And let's go ahead, Command-Shift-A. Does it look better? Looks better. Looks good enough, especially for the split second that it's going to be there. So see, everything's looking good. And then I have my line draw itself across. Now, why is this happening? Why am I doing this? Okay, what I'm going to do is this line is actually going to control what's being seen. So what I want to do here is now my line is going to be the parent. So this pick whip for both my top and bottom mask. So I'm going to take my pick whip, draw it to the line. Bottom mask, pick whip to the line. So now on my line, I'm going to hit R for rotation. You can see that that line rotates. Now, why is that important? Why that's important is because I'm going to change my scale and some of the settings on my videos of myself. Okay, to do that though, we want to go and we're going to put our player right back to where that white line is fully drawn, right when it just starts getting fully drawn. And I'm going to click on top and bottom video, and I'm just going to hit S for scale. I'm going to deselect, and I'm going to create a keyframe right there for the scale. And then also let's do let's see, I'm going to do Shift R for rotation. So I'm not going to control those, sorry. And then I'm also I'm going to turn these all off here in a second, or some of these off. I'm going to also hit Shift P for position. Okay, and then I'm going to just go ahead and click off. Can we do this? There we go. Okay, I don't need my bottom mask, but I do need top and bottom video. So I'm going to turn all these on and create a keyframe right where that white line appears. And that is important because now we'll say from there, that point to here, maybe I want my scale of my top video to get larger and to have positioned itself over. So what does that look like now? When I play, there's the line, it's going to draw itself, and then boom, now I'm moving some of my, I just keep getting this error, but what I'm going to do now is I can also rotate and keyframe my line to rotate. So I'm going to turn on, like right after that thing maybe gets drawn, hit a rotation, and then, all right, I want you to rotate. So let's see what that looks like. Line comes across, and I'm keyframing rotation on my line. Okay, that line is controlling the mask, which one half shows the top, one half shows the bottom, and it really just depends on how you keyframe this stuff. So right now, all right, what else can I do here? I can also, if I'm going to click on the line, I'm going to hit Shift P. That opens up position. So now, at this point, I'm going to create a keyframe for position, and then by the time it gets to here, I'm going to move that. Oh, I can just manually move it. Okay. Apparently not. I'm going to manually move that, or I'm going to just change my number to have that slide up too. So now, I have myself walking around. Boom, I have this rotation. I have a little bit of graininess on my video, so that's like the only thing I would probably go back and tweak a little bit, but I can have this keyframe over time and animate. I could also say have some text pop up at some point too. So if I wanted to, let's go Command-Shift-A, deselect. All right. So there's my text. And maybe this I don't want to appear maybe until this point. Go ahead and rotate that to kind of match that line. There it is. I'll pull it on screen there. And then maybe I even link this. So I say, okay, the text should follow the same stuff that the line does. So now I hit play, my line comes in, my video changes, my text pops up. All right, I want my line to drop now. So let's say, all right, I want that to be there for a second. I'm going to say on my line, because that's really controlling the text and everything, I'm going to say, all right, at that point, I want you to stay at that point for a second, and then immediately I want that line to drop down and expose a different portion of myself, maybe also do a little bit of rotation with the line too. So I go back here, just manually create a keyframe, and where I'm doing that is over here, and go ahead and pull it forward. And then that part maybe, all right, let's see what kind of rotation we have. There we go. Let's check this out. So a line comes in, everything's linked there. Maybe I want my text to eventually disappear there too. So maybe like when that thing kind of stops moving, like right here, I'm going to go ahead and just see, can I trim it down? See if that looks good. I think I had it starting a little bit earlier, maybe there. And then maybe I want this to end by this point so it can just kind of disappear. So let's see how that looks. I have the line, drawing, controlling, it wipes out and just maybe disappears, or I could have it fade away. You know, I could go in and if I hit T for my transparency, I could say, okay, at this point, be there, at the end, be at 0, and that would fade in as well. So there it is, and it fades out. Now, other things you could do, say I wanted my top video, let's get back here. I want my top video to be a different color, perhaps. So I could go into effect. Let's go to color correction, and maybe I want that one to be black and white. So now the top one's black and white. Here's the problem. I don't want it to be black and white at the beginning. So I'm going to have to go into my top video, into the effects, and let's go into black and white, and let's see. Maybe we won't use black and white. We'll maybe use desaturate instead. That's something we can easily color correct. So let's see. Do we have a desaturation? What would be good here? Maybe I'll do tint. Let's see if tint. Amount to tint. All right. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to use this instead. I'm going to say at 0, be that maybe as soon as the line comes across. So probably like from here, I'm going to create a manual keyframe and amount to tint, and then as soon as that line gets across, it's going to be tinted black and white. Let's see what that looks like. So now line comes across, boom, black and white. There we go. And then I can do other stuff. I can get in here and maybe do some more color correction with brightness and contrast. So play around, try to create an animation where you have your lines moving and kind of exposing and changing different visuals here on yourself. And again, this can be applied to any video. So this idea of like a split screen can be done in a lot of different ways with the same video footage, with just different things being sized up and changed over time. And that's it.